And but yeah, so what I want to talk about today is Monster Hunter. A lot of my friends that play Monster Hunter, I'm sure they're not like doing the research. They're only like consuming the news or whatever that sort of just pops up on YouTube or whatever, right? I'll go on the news or I'll go on other content creators videos and I'll see what they're saying about Monster Hunter. Because a lot of content creators right now, they were able to see impressions, they were able to see a press release after Summer Games Fest about Monster Hunter, and so a lot of information was dropped after the fact. We went over the trailer, we watched it like twice, uh, you know, live at the Summer Games Fest. Well, I wasn't there, but we watched it on stream, and then we watched it. We watched the trailer a second time in 4K to see like all of the good shit that's happening there. Um, and since then we were only able to see like just trailer footage as people are talking more and more about it. People like Maximilian Dude, Rurikon, um, Gaijin Hunter, to name a few, right? Those were the three. Eric's Gaming or Paradise. Those four. Those are like the people, or at least the content creators that I know that have been talking the most about it as far as my subscriptions go or my algorithm goes. I actually heard about Rurikon as I was looking for more Monster Hunter based content. So that's just how it is. So as I was sort of hearing what they had to say about it, especially Maximilian Dude, who like gave a really awesome in depth recanting his from memory what he saw at the presentation, right? Which that's a primary source. As a history major, I love primary sources. It was awesome to hear what he had to say about Monster Hunter, at least what he saw during the during that presentation. So there are a lot of what at least a lot of what we'll be going over today is going to be kind of repetitive in that like I'm sort of just regurgitating things that I've heard already. There are some things that I'll add that maybe not a whole lot of people talked about, but I'm sure by at this point, by the time uh, obviously we're streaming this live, but I'll at some point have this as a YouTube video to put up. That way, just sort of preserving the ideas and whatnot. I did another reason why I wanted to sort of have this discussion is because a lot of the information that came up during just like this week about with people talking about it, um, a lot of the information are things that I speculated from the jump, and just like, I mean, you know, speculated, and I sort of talked about it a bit on Reddit. Not that anyone goes on Reddit, right? But things that I talked about on there were sort of validated, and I'm sort of doing this as like a like, bro, I fucking let it be known that I know what I'm talking about. I'm a fan. There's some things that I got wrong. I'll be the first to admit that there's some things where oh no, that was totally wrong. I'm stupid about that. Um, I'll graciously take that L. But there are W's in this discussion that we'll go over, especially that I think are worth going over. So let's go on over. I actually have a page up already um, on the Reddit, and so here we have Gender Juicy, which is hilarious to all my gender fluid homies out there. Happy Pride Month. Yeah, so we have Gender Juicy is the author of this compilation of information. Yeah, there we go. Rhymes, bars. They compiled a summary of all the things that was talked about. Here they have their sources, which I love. Let's see. Let's go over what they're saying here, just as like a preamble. 19-minute video with English UI. Media creators were shown a behind closed doors presentation of Monster Hunter Wilds at Summer Games Fest. This we know. Media conducted individual interviews with the two directors, or the director and producer, I believe, Tokuda-san and Ryozo-san. They sat in and talked with media. The embargo has been lifted. Info is pretty spread out, so I'm writing this to consolidate the info of everything I've gathered in an easy to read way. Please let me know if I'm missing anything. So we'll go over what they talked about here. And again, I just want to credit, because this is not my stuff. This is Gender Juicy stuff. So yeah, all credit goes to them. We're just sort of reading through together. The history major is coming out. I know. It's here. So yeah. So here, thankfully, Gender Juicy was able to come through with different sections. So we'll go down it and talk about it as as far as pacing goes. It'll be as the article the post is, right? So open world and exploration. We have seamless transitions. Area transition seamlessly in a large, very vertical open world. Though each locale is progressively unlocked through the story, the intention is to not be able to roam everywhere and proceed in any way you want. There may still be a transition going between different biomes. So I was thinking about this on the car ride, just because I like listening, or I've been listening to like people like Rurikhan and Eric's Gaming / Paradise. And as I was sort of listening to them, I was thinking in my head, like, if what we're sort of experiencing in the game is like open world, I'm thinking that we'll have, and I'm sure this will be talked about more in the post, but I'm thinking it's like we'll have a series of really expansive maps, right? So we have the wild sands, wild plains, I believe it's called, or the dude, this sucks. I lost it, and I was listening to him say it a bunch today even. But the at least like the plains, the sand plains that we saw in the trailers, the 2 trailers that we've, or the 3 trailers that we have so far, that is its own biome or its own locale, if you will, and that locale has a village tied to it. So they mentioned the village name in in the different posts. I personally forgot what the name was already. I'm hoping it comes up in this post. Hopefully it does. Let's see what else. So we have different locales, and I think you're going to be able to sort of go through. There will be like a little section or like a gate that you can access in each of the biome locales, where you can like travel between each one. And I'm thinking it'll be sort of and this is just me speculating. This is not truth in any way. This is just me sort of bantering. I wish it was Poke Village. Okay, so here's the thing. Actually, no, we're in a different area altogether. So maybe we won't get Poke Village. That would be fun. It would be fun. But I think what will happen is the gated section of the map will lead to like a loading area that is, well, it won't be a load. Yeah, it will be a loading area. It'll, it won't be like a straight up, excuse me, there won't be like a straight up loading screen, but it will be a loading area or a transition area. Like say if you're going from this Sandy Plains map, and that's not the real title. I just threw out. I'll just throw it out. If you're going from the sandy place to the snowy place, then you'll go from the, you'll enter the gate area and enter the loading area, and it'll be like a sandy thing, like maybe it'll be like a dust storm that you are like moving through, and then it'll gradually transition to a snowy screen, which will then lead you to the next map. That's hard speculation. That may not be true. It may be like an entirely different way to travel in between maps. Like, yeah, it'll be like a loading screen or something. I mean, it says seamless transitions, but what they're talking through or what they're talking about here is being able to go from your village, the village that you're in, and then going out into the wilds. Haha, pun. The wilds, and being able to hunt, come back without any loading screens. Like it'll just be legit. Like you go from accepting a quest from your handler, and then you just straight up walk outside of the village and then walk around, complete the quest, do the thing. Because they said at some point that once you complete the quest, it won't finish, or at least it won't black out, and then you know transport you outright back to the village. It'll just be like you hunt the monster, and the quest will finish, and then you're sort of free to walk around still after the quest complete sign comes up. That's what I've been hearing, and that's what I'm sure they mean by seamless transitions here. Crossplay. Players will be able to match other players across all available platforms. Crossplay can be enabled, disabled in the in-game options, save data, in-game progress, paid DLC, etc. will be managed separately by each platform. For this reason, it will not be possible to share save data across the different platforms. Players can also become friends with other players across different platforms. See, okay, so that's pretty cool. In my reaction video, I mentioned like, oh, they're gonna just focus on console first, or at least like consoles will be the focus more than the PC. That was wrong, by the way. Like I sort of just assumed that would be the case. It is not. If you get it on PC, I'm gonna play on the PS5. We can play it together, totally fine, and we can be friends. I'm sure it'll be like, because Monster Hunter has its own like in in engine friend system. Always has been with like the guild card, or yeah, the guild cards and stuff like that. So at least we can all play together in harmony, more or less. Map size comparable to combining two Wildspire Waste maps, a massive increase in scale and density compared to previous installments. So I think I was talking with Jomar and Josh about this last night, about how how expansive the maps would be. I said ancient forests in our talks last night. Appears I was wrong. Wildspire Waste, which is fairly, uh, if I'm like sort of remembering how like spacious that map was, is actually pretty dang spacious. I'm getting all of the Monster Hunter Wilds news from you from now on. That's what I like to hear. I'm doing it for you, man. That's why I'm doing this. um, that means everything to me. Yeah, so yeah, as I'm thinking about like the size of Wildspire Waste, I think that's pretty big. Yeah, so having two Wildspire Waste maps, it's pretty cool. I think yeah, I'm excited to see how like, because you can sort of picture it in your head, like, oh, like that seems pretty big because Wildspire Waste had like a pretty wide biome between like the desert area or the Spire desert area, like the small jungle area, um, the hills, the plains, the swamp. Um, yeah, so that's pretty. Yeah, I would say that's pretty big. New environments. I don't know who this was confirmed by, but um, you'll be able to unlock new areas like snowy mountains, each with unique environments. So that's pretty cool. What I'm thinking here, and I said it a little bit before, but I think each new area comes with like a new village or new settlement. The reason why I think that is because I think I'm just thinking, like, since you are exploring, you are the leader of your expedition, in the story, that each time you visit a new place, the way that they'll sort of introduce civilization, quote unquote civilization, will just be introducing like a new sort of tribe. I think that's what we're going to see as far as like civilization goes, is each area comes with its own native tribe. Because this is, I'm imagining that since this is all the Forbidden Lands, there are people here that aren't tied directly to the guild. We're here, and man, this is, I'm speculating again because I was thinking about how the story is going to be like, in the car. um, I'm thinking that, you know, since we work for the guild, we're sort of being sent to the Forbidden Lands to find something, to help Nata, the boy, find something. Whether that's him finding somebody that, well, you know, we're supposed to find somebody, because Gemma in the trailer says like, "I hope we find them soon." So I'm thinking like with Nata, there's like some connection there. Like he's connected to the story, obviously, in a grander way. Obviously, we don't know anything about that yet. But going back to just like new environments, I think each new environment comes with a new tribe, a new village to sort of introduce to the character. Each village has like a certain, will have a certain mastery over the biomes that they live in. So the, and I'm blanking on the village name that is introduced in the Sandy area, but their whole thing is the sacreds. So at least according to what I was hearing, in a in a talk with Rurikon, because Rurikon, he was talking with two of the community managers at Capcom, and according to him, uh, they showed in the presentation that within the village has like a ranch for sacreds, the raptor chocobo rideable mounts, and so I'm thinking like they use the sacreds obviously to get around. So I'm thinking that there's something that each new area will introduce for like traversal or hunting, but you know, that is yet to be seen. Weather impacts, frequent weather changes impact gameplay. Weather changes are clearly indicated in the UI. So here, the weather, I think in one of the talks that I saw with Rurikon talks a lot with the community managers. A lot of, and he comes out with like theories and stuff. Super insightful. Him and Gaijin come out with like really insightful stuff. So I'm sort of regurgitating, uh, at least their theories in a way. I'm, yeah, more or less, right? That's what I mean. That's why we're here. But according to Rurikon or Gaijin, I think they mention the weather impacts will also change like what is available in each map. So like I think there'll be gathering spots for normal weather areas, and then when the weather changes, those gathering points will differ somehow. Like it'll come out with something special that you can only gather during those weather changes. So and I think they happen fairly well, since they happen fairly often. I don't know what frequent means as far as the, you know, the number of times it'll happen in an hour or 10 minutes. But we can assume that, you know, the weather impact it'll play like a huge role in what we are interacting with in the world. Fast travel available for long distances, potentially involving loading screen. So yeah, so as you travel from place to place or camp to camp, there may be like a small loading screen, or village to camp, because I think you're able to set a camp in a specific spot via, you know, a la Dragon's Dogma, how you're able to walk around the map, and then you would see a specific point in the map that you're able to set up a camp, right? So from village to camp might be a loading screen. Could be a small one, but potentially evolving loading screens. Obviously, you're jumping from one place to another, So there you go. Also, via Windrake from place to place, or is it going to be because fast travel? You're able to see fast travel happen in a way, like in World and in Rise, where you latch onto a winged drake or something, and it brings you really quickly to another spot on the map. I don't know if it's going to be like that here. They're obviously going to need to explain like how a hunter was able to, quickly travel from one place to another in game. So we'll see. Conditions and events. 2 major conditions and 1 major anomaly event showcased in the wind. Oh, there you go. Windward Plains. I should have just scrolled down. I should have just read all of this before. To be fair, I did read all of this before, back when it came out, and it came out. This came out 15 hours ago, guys. I'm a lying piece of shit, and everything is. Anyway. Conditions and events. 2 major conditions and 1 major anomaly event showcased in the Windward Plains, featuring herds, endemic life, natural formations, and a persistent state. So 2 major conditions. Okay, so like I'm wondering like what those 2 conditions mean. Like we saw obviously normal day, and then like sandstorm. And those were it. I think those are the 2. So I don't know what major anomaly event means. I think it could be like just the, what are they called? The lightning stuff, like the lightning storm. That might be what it's talking about. So you have like the sandstorm and then the lightning storm. That could be it. Obviously, that might change in some way or another. Cool. So each condition and anomaly will sort of affect what's out there, the herds, endemic life, natural formations, the like. So we can look forward to that. Verticality. The new map in Monster Hunter Wilds is much more detailed, especially in terms of verticality. There you go. Unlike some dense maps from World that could be confusing, the new interface elements indicate the direction and distance to your target, making it easier to track monsters. So that's what I heard in Rurikon's discussion with Joe Bustos and Jono from Capcom, the community managers there. Joe Bustos mentioned that's right, there's a Filipino working at Capcom, guys, as a community manager. Sorry. All I can think of is like that meme or that like TikTok or whatever. He's like, "I Filipino," and then so it's that Filipino pride, I guess. Like, yeah, there's Filipinos there. Oh, anyway, so yeah, we got a new or in that discussion they talked about how there's a 3D map you can see that'll sort of detail like the topography, stuff like that. So you're able to see Filipino na. You're able to see like where, like, if like there's 2 sort of intersections that like are on top of each other. Of course, like on the map, all you see is like going this way. It's so stupid, but you're able to see it now in 3D. So it's cool. So you're able to see how that works. I'm not sure how they're gonna. I think it'll just be like you open up a map and it'll be like that. I think they're gonna stray away from like just having it on a map. I think just quality of life. It'll be fine. So, yeah. So it's cool that there's gonna be verticality. We sort of saw that in the teaser trailer where like the hunter and the sacred's kind of like jumping around from place to place. Even from the trailer, or from that teaser trailer, we were able to see the hunter sort of looking out into the horizon, so to speak, seeing like the landscape. So there is verticality. Um, I don't know how far they're gonna go as far as verticality goes, because Monster Hunter Rise was super, it had like super verticality. There was like there'd be like 4 different levels to a map, all with varying degrees of height. So, obviously it lent itself for the wire bugs, right? So, how they'll handle it in wilds, I'll be excited. I'm excited to see how it turns out. Quest creation: players can mark monsters on the map to create quests on the fly, enhancing the seamless and immersive experience. So, no more are you taking on a cool quest. Actually, that's not true. I'm not sure if that's true. No more. I was gonna say, like, no more are you gonna like see cool quests from a book, be like, or a quest board. It's like, okay, cool, let's do this one. Um, Now, I think this is just for like if you're sort of already out in the map, maybe out on an expedition or something. And if you mark a monster there, then it'll create like a radiant quest. Like, it's not going to have like a cool name or anything. It's not going to have like a cool description. Uh, it'll just be like hunt Doshogama, or slay Rathalos, or capture Rathalos, something like that. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Obviously, it can change. Passive expeditions. Oh, okay. So Hunter can go out for a random expedition without a lot of combat, primarily showing environments and Hunter interactions. Expeditions are more organic and less structured. Players choose a town, load into it. Okay, cool. Okay, well, I don't know if it's just the way that gender juicy, sorry. Like, I know the author, like, I already read the author's name, the author of this compilation. I read their name beforehand, but saying it off the cuff was sort of hilarious. I wasn't prepared to do it. Okay, so gender juicy. I know, yeah, gender juicy, bro. Uh Again, happy Pride Month to all my gender fluid folk. Yeah, happy Pride Month. They said players choose a town, indicating that maybe there would be more than one. Anyway, uh, load into it and then wander out to explore, hunt, and get distracted by various activities. Various activities, I don't know what that means. Maybe GJ would help. GJ sounds pretty cool too. Now we gotta put respect on their name. But maybe I'll go. But I'll do GJ. GJ sounds funny too. GJ, what does that mean? And GJ is something in Chinese, I think. GJ. um, Various activities. I don't know if it's like just fishing or capturing bugs. I don't know if that's like side quests, because remember we sort of received side quests back in World. Like, if you remember, like on an expedition, you're able to see like a fisherman person or a bug person. They'd be like, "Oh, can you catch this?" or "Can you find this?" Something like that, right? So that might be what they're alluding to, is having that side quest, or that more organic side quest availability. Maybe. Here we have quality of life improvements, improved item selection, and customization to enhance the hunting experience, for sure. So every Monster Hunter iteration has come out with like some kind of quality of life thing that helps with navigating the menus, navigating the UI, or even just what they're saying here, a hunting experience, right? So obviously we've seen a whole lot. I don't want to go into it too much, because that's sort of things that we'll find out on our own. If it does come up, then it'll come up. All right, so here we are moving on to multiplayer. This will be important because I know a lot of people really like multiplayer, but it looks like we're going to also see some solo stuff here as well. So here we have multiplayer convenience. Playing through the story in multiplayer is more convenient in Wilds compared to World, for sure. So I'm thinking, you remember like back in the day, back in World, where like you would load in, and nobody can join you until like everyone had watched that particular cutscene on their own, uh, which was super annoying. Uh, yeah, it was just like super annoying that you would have to like everyone would have to like take on the quest. I didn't mind the solo cutscenes. Yeah, because like in World, you're more or less like the main character, so it's like I think back in the day, or at least back in World, I'm sure the developers were like, their intentions were like, we want everyone to experience their own story, that kind of thing, right? So I totally get it too. Um, but I know that in Rise, everyone was able to, no matter if you hadn't seen the cutscene already, or maybe you had, everyone was able to see it, but everyone had the option to skip the cutscene, so it was totally fine. Granted, I'm not sure what it meant. Oh no, because it sort of, I think everyone sort of saw their own hunter. I think if I'm remembering Rise correctly, even like the story cutscenes where where your hunter was shown. I think if even if the quest starter, even if it yeah even it was if in wow okay come on even if it was their quest, you would see your own hunter in those cutscenes. I'm thinking that's how it worked. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. um so it's cool that we're going to be seeing some convenience there. Pretty awesome stuff. It's funny that as I was talking about the convenience, it's saying some story elements must be witnessed solo before rejoining multiplayer. As I was just talking about being able to skip cutscenes, so here we go. Which I don't mind personally, but that I can understand why it would be a gripe for others. So there's that. Always connected, the game keeps players always connected in the background, allowing for quick matchmaking and seamless transition back into multiplayer gameplay. To be honest, I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know if like always connected means that you were because I remember in World, I think you were always in a lobby after you completed like the first tutorial quest. You were just always in a lobby unless you specifically um, chose like a private lobby. So I'm thinking that's what they mean, because this is not, because if that's what they mean, that's not new. That's sort of already been there. It wasn't in Rise, which I think this is why they're mentioning it here, because it was a World thing. Larger player counts. There are discussions around enabling larger player counts for certain hunts. While traditional hunts might still feature up to 4 players, larger battles against monumental monsters could potentially support more players, possibly up to 4 massive creatures like Zora Magdaros. We're getting proper raids. But I don't know if like discussions mean like they're official. It might be sort of what we saw in World, where it was like everyone, there was like 16 people lobby, but you had groups of 4. Zora had 12, or had 12 people. No, possibly up to 12. 4 massive creatures like Zora Magdaros. So if there was Zora Magdaros in this game, the game might support up to 12 players for that hunt, is what they're saying here. But it's a discussion. I don't know if GJ was saying that like it's confirmed or something. I thought it was just people would build a meter. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking too. Like, because in World, right, when you had, wow, blanking on the names, like Safi Jiva, or the gold woman lady wyvern, Kolve Teroth. Got it, Kolve Teroth. Yeah, you're able to sort of build a meter, and when everyone in the lobby like maxed it out. I'm excited for the AI hunters to join the hunt. Rise AI was pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm sure that's gonna come up later, but yeah, I think that's what they were saying. You're able to SOS NPC hunters into your mission if you choose like a solo lobby or something. So that's pretty cool. I love that kind of stuff. Um, Visibility of other hunters. While specific details about seeing other hunters outside of your party and villages are not fully confirmed, this was heavily suggested. Okay, so I don't know who's heavily suggesting it. If this was like during the interviews with Tokuda-san and Ryozo-san, I'm not sure if like they had mentioned it in those interviews with like IGN or such. If that's what they were alluding to in those interviews, but here it is. Pretty cool. Here's alpha monsters. So I'm sure this is going to be pretty. We talked about it in the React trailer or in the React video, which I don't want to call it that. I'll just call it the watch through because that's what I titled it. But I mentioned like there would be not an alpha. I think I was like there's going to be like a. Oh no, I think I did mention like there's going to be like an alpha monster of the herd because it's like a herd monster. Kind of like a drone or like a drone, a velocidrome situation. But in this case, I think that I think what we're seeing, like we're seeing a sort of, what am I trying to say? Like it's like sort of less distinguishable in a way, like the alpha or the alpha Doshiguma and like the regular Doshiguma, they're like essentially the same. Like there's like as far as like their combat goes, I think everyone's sort of the same. It's just that you have a stronger a stronger monster from the herd that is the alpha in this case, right? So there you go. Nushi, apex predators. Each environment has its own dominant monster. The weather events change which monsters appear. An example is the apex of the storm environment, which thrives in stormy conditions with lightning abilities. They called it the Thor Magala. That's hilarious. I was not. I think in the watch through. I think Jomar, you said it was like a Shagaru, or it sort of like gave you Shagaru vibes. So, good job. You're part of the train still. All good, all good. Thor Magala is hilarious. I didn't come up with that. That's an awesome name. It is an awesome name. As far as like this particular point goes, I'm thinking that like yeah. So when it's saying like each environment has its own dominant monster and the weather events change which monsters appear. Um, and then they mentioned Thor Magala. So like when we saw Rathalos, I think Rathalos is like the sort of apex predator for daytime windward plains. And I'm sort of getting this information from Gaijin Hunter because he put it very well in that like in the in the windward plains with like no other enemies to sort of rival against it during the day, it's going to be Rathalos, which is why in the teaser we saw it sort of flying over. I think that'll be that. Whereas in the storm environment of the windward plains, when it is like the storm or the lightning storm anomaly or whatever, it'll be the wyvern, which is aptly named Thor Magala for now. It'll change once its official name comes out. But yeah, so that'll be sort of how that goes. You have sort of 2 apex monsters per biome or per map, because each map will probably have like 2 stages, like a normal stage and a variant stage. Each of those stages will have its own dominant monster. So that's what this section is talking about here. Here we have turf wars and dynamics. Feel more dynamic and less scripted. Specific example, during the hunt for the new monster Doshiguma, the Sand Leviathan Balahara appears, leading to a classic turf war. That's what we saw when like the Balahara were like slithering around the Doshiguma and like just fighting it off and stuff. It was like an event that we saw. Environmental effects like a massive dust and sand wall change the appearance and behavior of the monsters. Cool. So the obviously when we see like the storm happening, um, it'll affect like what monsters do. They might be more aggressive, or they might hide away, things like that. Advanced ecosystem focused on detailed monster herd behaviors that reflect their environment and ecology, enhancing the livable, interactable world. Post hunt activities include observing wildlife behavior, such as birds returning to nest and feeding their chicks, reinforcing the dynamic and interconnected nature of the game's world. So, um, I saw a quote. I'm not sure if it was like actually from the director, but it was like the director, Tokuda. Uh, he was like, in every Monster Hunter game that I direct, all it'll be focused on just an immersive ecosystem. So the fact that we're seeing sort of, hey, thank you so much for the follow. Um, the fact that we're seeing um, like birds it's sort of having a very prominent view on screen, like they're not just like 15 frame per second artifacts on screen, like they're actually there. Yeah, we're about to see some really fun animations, really fun stuff that we'll be able to observe just like out in the wild. Bad pun, I know, it's gonna happen. Abundance of larger monsters. Overall, a much higher abundance of large monsters compared to previous titles. That's cool because, like in previous titles, all we saw were like three monsters, like in Rise. The baby Puke, which sucks because I heard that where people were saying like, or I forget who confirmed it, quote unquote confirmed it, but apparently that baby Puke was just a bird. I don't know. I don't believe it. My heart wants to just believe that it's a real thing, and I'm hoping so. We need cute stuff like that in Monster Hunter, man. It needs it. But yeah, so I think each title sort of only had three large monsters in the map at all times, and then somehow they would just switch out or whatever. One monster would leave, that kind of thing. Um, so far, new returning monsters, which I didn't know already. We got Kulayaku, Daimyo Hermitor, Puke, and Diablos. Puke is hilarious. I don't know if it's not true, but that is a sort of Filipino naming scheme. I don't know if it's true, but it's there. Monster behaviors. Okay, so cool. We have Kulu stealing an egg and being chased down. Classic Kulu antics there. Diablo's fighting with one losing a horn. I heard, I don't know where I read this. I need to do my homework, but someone said that maybe Monoblos would be making a return. Could be. I don't know. Daimyo hiding underground when scared by Doshiguma. That's cool. See, like things like that. That's pretty awesome. Like just, not everything is just aggroed to each other. You know, we have some things like oh shit, like we're gonna hide away. So yeah, pretty cool. Doshiguma carrying an herbivore corpse. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I miss that kind of stuff in Rise, where it was just like, I feel like Rise, and by extension, sort of all of that, all of the, or at least all of like the classic stuff, kind of just like boss rush mode in a way. I would love the Monoblos. I think it's scarier than the Diablos. Diablos. Diablos? Oh my god. Sorry. I think so too. I think the thing about Monoblos having like a roar, which is the bane of all hunters, like that is a crazy description for a monster. Yeah, I agree. It should definitely come back in some way. Cool. So that's all the monsters. That's that section. Villages and settlements, seamless village integration. We talked about this a little bit earlier. The villages are now physically located on the map, closer to what we saw with Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. The one in the demo is just one of several villages rather than the only hub. See, okay, cool. So I don't know where they confirmed that, but that's cool that they did talk about it somewhere. In that, yeah, there are several villages. That's pretty. Kunafa Village, dude. All of these things, all of the information is in here, son. So I'm dumb. I totally forgot it's called Kunafa Village. Anyway, we're gonna talk about it. So cool. We're getting multiple villages, settlements throughout Monster Hunter. That's awesome. I don't know if it means that like if it's gonna go as far as each village has its a particular mastery in a way over the surrounding areas that they will introduce to the hunter, as far as like traversal goes. That is yet to be seen. Guiding lands influence. The structure of wilds is based on the guiding lands from Monster Hunter World, featuring interconnected biomes with multiple villages and camps scattered throughout. Cool. I don't know if there's anything else to be said about that, but yeah, I like the guiding lands. I did not like that it was so like the mechanics of guiding lands, like you needed to hunt in a certain area to like boost up the economy or whatever, and then this and that happens to boost the gathering. I don't know. What that was the one thing I didn't like about Iceborne, was that particular mechanic, to be honest. Sorry, I'm reading chat. Yakamina Village would be a dope place to rest at. What is Yakamina? Yukumo? Is that the one that you're thinking about? Or are you about to like got me right now? Kanafa Village, a compact settlement with feline kitchen, palicos, Gemma. Just Gemma. And other NPCs, Sacreds, and Dalithon's village sheep are bred for their fur and milk. Players can trade materials with NPCs for items like cheese and cook outdoors at simple camps. I don't know, I remember it like that, Yakamina. And I was like, what is Yakamina? Are you about to like got me? Fucking like, Yakamina these nuts or something. Maybe the armor? Ooh. Well, yeah, I think Gemma is just going to be the primary like blacksmith that you'll interact with in each village, which is fine. If we just have one blacksmith to be the consistent character there, that's cool. Sounds good to me. Let's see, what else are we saying? So Sacred and Dalithons, weird name, are bred for their fur and milk. So I'm thinking, I meant maybe I thought Yakamina because of the armor. Oh, I see it. Okay, yeah, I get you. But yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier. At least like I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but with excuse me, with the Sacreds and Dalithons being present at Kunafa Village, it just leans more on the fact that maybe we're going to be introduced with like more mechanics with each village that'll be introduced to the hunters as a way to like traverse or hunt other monsters, that kind of stuff. I mixed up with Yukuma. No, totally fine. You're all good. Camps, you can set up camps to restock. You do not have to return to villages often. In one of the, I think every sort of content creator has mentioned it already from their impressions, or at least in their findings, that you're able to set up camps wherever you want. I think it'll be like a one and done kind of thing, where you set up a camp. I don't know if it's going to be a thing where like you set up sort of multiple camps and you can fast travel to each one. I think it's just the one camp, and each time you set up another one, then the previous camp kind of just will be undone. You know how Monster Hunter Rise's Japanese setting, what do you think MH Wilds will be set as? I think since it'll be multiple villages in this sense, they'll probably like sort of sneak in different kinds. I'm sort of seeing a lot of um, what's it called? I'm seeing a lot of like South American vibes from this first village with Kunafa Village. There are some things that I mentioned in the watch through video where like, oh, there's like feathers on the ponchos or like feathers on characters, um, and then like even like the art style that like certain monsters have or certain like um, art, or at least like the aesthetic that's introduced in the villages sort of give me a lot of like South American, like Mayan, Aztec warrior kind of vibe, right? I think that's what we're gonna see because we haven't really seen that kind of stuff yet, so it'll be interesting to sort of see it be introduced this time round. I think the subsequent villages that we interact with will probably have a different vibe all around. Um, that said, if I had to like just settle on like some things that I would like to see, um, I honestly I since we are dealing with like forbidden lands, I'm thinking we're gonna see a lot of like just tribal villages, or at least like yeah, just like tribal aesthetics, you know. So I think we're gonna see like not only are we gonna see like the Aztec and Mayan sort of architectures and cultures. We might see like Filipino cultures. I'm just throwing it out there because that'd be fun. I think it would be fun to have just like Southeast Asian culture being represented in a way that'd be fun. Um, I mean, we have. I feel like maybe jungle Asian vibes have been uh, more or less introduced in one way or another, but it would be cool to see more of it in wilds. Um, do I hear tonfas, dude? Okay, so this will probably come up at some point, but yes, I think they're gonna introduce tonfas in this game. It'll be tonfas and then like another weapon. Part maybe it'll be a ranged weapon. Um, I mentioned it in the Monster Hunter Wilds Discord that they're probably not gonna introduce. They haven't introduced a a new weapon yet because the events that Monster Hunter was part of have been sort of like kind of like low, or at least like not terribly popular, at least to Capcom, not very popular place or festivals or events, right? We had the teaser that they put out during um, some state of play or something, or no, yeah, it was like a state of play because it was like they introduced fucking Street Fighter 6 and Monster Hunter Wilds. They teased both of them in the same event, um, and that was just a teaser. So they're not gonna put out like, oh hey, like Tonfa. They're not gonna put that out here. I don't think so. And then even with like the state of play that was 2 weeks ago, and the Summer Games Fest of last week, I was thinking like they're not gonna do Tonfa or new weapons. Ooh, excuse me. They're not gonna do it in those places or in those events because to Capcom, I'm thinking it's not that popular of an event. I'm thinking if they were to introduce a new weapon or two, it'll be at Gamescom where there's gonna be a playable demo. There's gonna be people able to play like a playable game. That's when they'll introduce the weapons because people will go and be like, okay, this is how it's gonna play, or they're gonna show it at the Tokyo Game Show because Capcom always like pulls out or pulls. That's not the right verbiage. Uh, Capcom always comes through for Tokyo Game Show, so I'm sure we're gonna see something there. But yeah, I would love to see Tonfas, man. Tonfas would be great. I don't know what they would release if there's like another kind of ranged weapon that they could release. Maybe it'll be just like new in general. Dual wielding machine guns that transform into a longsword, maybe. Okay, I see it. That's the thing. I see it in my mind, in my in the ether of my mind. It's there. Oh god, that'd be crazy. The slingshot. I can see them pulling out a slingshot weapon. I forget like what weapons there are in Frontier. Can we look that up real quick? Can everyone see what I'm looking at? Cool. So they introduce, here are the two new ones, right? So we have Tonfas and Magnet Spike. I don't know what the fuck Magnet Spike means. Magneto Spike is what it's called. Heavy melee type weapon. That's pretty cool. I mean, it would be interesting if they introduced Magnet Spike. To be honest, I've not seen anything from any like gameplay revolving around the Magnet Spike. I can only assume that it's cool. But it'd be cool to introduce a new ranged weapon. I think that Monster Hunter could definitely benefit from having a new ranged weapon. Just saying. But what kind of ranged weapon could they even announce by now? It'd be hard. It'd be hard. Let's exit out of that. But yeah, so I think we'll see like a Filipino or like at least like some kind of Southeast Asian culture along with the Mayan Aztec culture that we've seen already. If I had to say like a third one, I can see them doing ninjas again. Honestly, yeah, I could see them doing ninjas again. It's just easy, you know. Like ninjas are already sort of tribal in a way, so if they do like some sort of like sneaky village, they'll just do that. Dual pistols. Hold on. Well, that sort of leads into what Jan was saying. Dual wielding machine guns. Like you have like two SMGs, like freaking guns the duel, that like somehow morph into a longsword kind of weapon. I don't know. I can see it. I can see it. We can speculate. We can speculate together, and be wrong or right together. That's what I believe. Camps, you can set up camps to restock. You do not have to return to villages often. That's cool. So that's actually good. I like that you're able, if you wanted to, you can sort of just like, you can just, you know, go back to camp and then continue your hunts from there. Yeah, that's fine. Just keeping you out into the open world. That's pretty cool. No animation locks. Actions like removing mantles are seamless and allow for smoother gameplay action. I feel like I don't know how I feel about this, only because like mantles as well, actions like removing mantles, I guess that's fine. I don't know what they mean by that just yet. I'm sure other people will have more in-depth thoughts about that kind of stuff. For me, I don't really know. Maybe if something comes up later, we can talk about it. Customizable minimap can be enlarged and made more translucent. Okay, I mean it could already have been enlarged. I think if we're saying like it'll take up the size or something, like it'll, instead of like 1/10 of the corner, it'll take up a quarter of the corner, something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Made more translucent. Okay, sure, sounds good to me. That's like a UI thing. Quality of life improvements, enhance the map detail. That was that 3D map thing that I was talking about earlier, that we heard from Joe Bustos. And navigation, quests and monster tracking, and significant verticality improvements. Easier item selection and navigation during hunts, for sure. I mean, I still scroll through my item list. It's just old school. I fucking love it. Like, I know everyone swears, or at least like most people will swear by the radial menu. That's not me, fam. For me personally, I don't like it when UI takes too much of the screen. That's why I don't even have like the damage numbers, because I just want, if a game is good, then it'll automatically communicate that information by what you see in the gameplay. So I don't need to like see a number indicating that my attacks are like stronger in this particular section of the monster. I'll just know by like the damage, or at least like from the overall feel, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, I'm old school like that. So things like a radial menu. Uh, I don't know what easier item selection and navigation during hunts means, but I guess we'll see. Strategic gameplay, use traps tools like the claw hook and the slinger to manipulate monster behavior. So we've seen all of this already, sort of introduced in world where you're able to like. Uh, I don't know if the claw or the clutch claw is coming back. I think Max dude said that the clutch claw isn't coming back. Um, but we've seen that you're able to, from the back of a secret, uh, slinger shot a rock to your slinger via the grappling hook, and then shoot that ammo into a rock or something, or like shoot them off, things like that. We saw in the trailer where like you blast, or the hunter shot like a thorn pod at one of the Balaharas and it like fell away. Yeah, I can see it being something just like as simple as that. Weapon flexibility. Players can carry two weapons and switch between them to adapt dynamic environments and changing monster behaviors. You can mount it to switch it. One example was if using the heavy bowgun, the mount can fire at monsters while running with you. What? Wait, what? So like the sacred can just like, if you have a heavy bowgun on the sacred, then the sacred can just fire the heavy bow. Is that, can we comprehend? Is that what we're doing that? Um, this flexibility allows players to modify their playstyle based on the situation. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, we have no idea what that fucking means, but it sounds cool if I'm thinking about it right, if I'm imagining it correctly. Um, One of the questions that came up in the Reddit was like, will your guild card reflect which weapons you have? Because, you know, in guild cards, all the way, in Monster Hunter past, you've always had uh, your weapon displayed, or at least the weapon you currently have displayed, or something in your guild card. One of the questions was like, will the guild card display both weapons equipped? We don't know. That question never came up in the interviews or in the impressions. Hopefully, we'll have the answer soon. I don't know. That'd be fun. But it's also, yeah, you're able, I'm sure everyone knows you're able to have the same weapon that you can switch up, that you can switch in and out. Or you can have like two ranged weapons, two melee weapons, that kind of thing. Very versatile. I don't, I was thinking about like what kind of, I think it depends. I'm not gonna, just like shoehorn myself into just using dual blades. I made that mistake. I felt bad. I think it was just like feeling bad that I named my character Nightwing and I would like go into hunts with like a greatsword. Like that's not character canon or respective. I don't know. Normal people wouldn't care about that. For me, I care about it. So I'm pretty good at using most of the weapons aside from like switch axe and hammer and hunting horn and the gun lances and lance and oh, that's it. Those are the only weapons I don't use. So every other weapon I'm pretty good at using. So I think, yeah, it'll just depend on what I feel. I'm not gonna, at least in wilds, I'm not gonna just uh, limit myself, I guess. But it's cool that you can have both. Longsword mechanics. Um, yeah, new mechanics with a samurai feel, focusing on attacking weak spots. So, and they talk about it here too. Um, Reworked weapons, distinct weapon identities with dynamic weak spots, as well as reworked skill systems. So they mentioned both Rurikon, Gaijin Hunter, and I think Max Dude to an extent mentioned like the new longsword mechanics feeling more like they mentioned samurai feel because it's very precise. Um, Granted, yeah, because like with the old Monster Hunter, old Monster, or with Monster Hunter as it stands right now, Longsword is very like wide sweeping, cool looking, parry like attacks. I think for Longsword now, for Wilds, I think they're gonna go more like precise, obviously with focusing on attacking weak spots, right? Um, so we might see a different feel for Longsword, which is fine. Uh, it was one of, it sort of dawned on me the other day that like longsword, while it is like very anime and cool, um yeah, I think going more a samurai like vibe to its skill system, it might benefit it. I think it'll keep things fresh. It might hurt the weebs anyway. No new weapon types. Okay, so well, this is what they're saying, at least with Gender Juicy here, sort of compiling the information. Um, this might not be true because I remember I was listening to Rurikon's talk with the two community managers, and what they were saying, they never confirmed nor denied that there wouldn't be new weapons. They kind of just like Rurikon had asked, like, hey, like, are there going to be new weapons? We should have seen them by now, but maybe there will be. And they sort of like, they didn't even mention it. They kind of just said, well, right now, Wilds does have, we can confirm that all 14 weapon types are coming back, and they're going to be coming with fresh new gameplay, or at least in this sense. We're going to see some new reworks um, and new mechanics introduced to keep, at least to like, give a new identity, so to speak, to each weapon, right? Damn, in my opinion, it would be cool if they did add new weapon types, just so it's interesting for older players and new to experiment, like uh like Vi's gauntlets from League of Legends, or dual bowgun pistols. Bowgun pistols would be wild. Honestly, caught me. That'd be pretty funny. Yeah, so I mean, uh I'm still holding my hope out that they'll introduce uh, a new weapon or two. But as it stands right now, I guess we're only seeing just the 14 with a new mode or two that'll keep things fresh. But hopefully, I'm hoping that they'll introduce a new one at Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show. Here's hoping. Yeah, we're just gonna hold out hope, at least for me. Focus mode and wounds. Attacking monsters naturally causes wounds. Pretty natural stuff. Dual bowguns sound like the hunter from Diablo 3. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. I think that would be pretty fun. Like just fucking hand bowgun or hand crossbows. Honestly, hand crossbows would be pretty cool. I don't know how like they would implement that, but yeah, that would be pretty cool. Attacking monsters naturally causes wounds, which can be targeted for extra damage in focus mode. Wounds are then highlighted in red. This mode also helps with positioning and blocking, making it easier for less experienced players to engage effectively. This feature can be used in conjunction with the lock-on camera. Now this, the focus mode when introduced, I think a lot of people were sort of thinking like, oh, it's just gonna be easy mode, which after like hearing the community managers and sort of seeing other people talk about focus mode as well. I think it's just like it's like a small thing. It's not even like a detective mode a la Batman or fucking Assassin's Creed. It's sort of just you can see that the wounds are highlighted in red, and you're able to focus an attack or two on those wounds. Um, I don't think it's gonna be like you play in focus mode and like all of your attacks will be naturally aimed at something. Like, you know, if you're doing like a true charge slash, then you can switch on focus mode and that true charge slash would just focus. Wow, okay, focus directly on that particular wound. I obviously we haven't seen it in actual gameplay yet, but that's sort of the vibe that I'm getting from like people explaining it. Mounting is coming back. Yeah, we saw that, or we didn't see it, but apparently people that watched the presentation after the Summer Games Fest saw it. You're able to mount, as in Monster Hunter World. Returns with more attack options with no transition cuts. Mount finishers create weak spots on monsters. Cool. So they just made it a bit more intuitive. I know, like, I remember back in World, when you mounted a monster, it was sort of an inconvenience. I think people like just didn't like it when you mounted a monster because it like made it move around too much. Um, and I think just like mounting in and of itself was sort of clunky. So I think that's why a lot of people didn't really like it back then, if I'm remembering the past correctly. But it's cool that we're gonna see it come back with a bit more like, yeah, a bit more intuitiveness, a bit more function attached to that. So SOS signals, bring in NPC hunters for assistance, automatic item drops from part breaks. So, okay, well, that's weird that they added that for that little section, but sure. So, yeah, so we talked about it earlier, just talking about how if you shoot an SOS signal while you're in solo mode or whatever, you can call in NPC hunters. No one confirmed if the NPC hunters were like actual characters in game or if they're just kind of like randos from like the village or something. Oh, sorry, I just read that on chat again. But automatic item drops from part breaks. I think that's odd. Um, well, I don't know if they mean like if you cut off the tail, then on the side of the screen it says uh, Rathalos tail acquired. I don't know if they're talking about that or if it's like um, if you cut off a tail, then like you can just see it. I don't know. I don't know what it's talking about there. I think Gaijin Hunter did mention that it would be what the former, where it's like if you cut off something or if you break a wing, then you automatically get an item tied to the part break. Obviously, there's still chance involved, I'm sure. So there's a chance you'll get a measly scale from a tail cut, but that is just Monster Hunter. Moving on, we have various ammo types. Thorn grass shots to slow herds, lure pods to isolate alpha monsters, and hook claw to gather items and make ammo. So obviously we didn't, I don't know if like the clutch claw is back, but we are getting the hook claw like as a grappling hook. That's coming back. Obviously the slinger had that functionality in general, but to give it the functionality of being able to grab items like the hook shot from Zelda, then that's pretty cool. Different shots are coming back, or different shots, I guess, like the thorn grass shot and the lure pods. Those are new, right? Or the thorn pods, that's not new. Uh, we saw that in the trailer where like the hunter shot the Balahara, like I mentioned earlier, and it like flinched. Um, we're saying thorn grass. I think that's like caltrops. I think they're meant like caltrops to slow herds from like advancing too far or like getting too close, that kind of thing. And then lure pods, that might just be like, I don't know. I don't know what lure pods means to isolate alpha monsters. If that's like, well, obviously, right? It'll be like just getting them away from their herd. But I don't know if it's like you shoot the lure pod at the alpha monster or you shoot it like on the ground somewhere and then the alpha monster just picks up the scent. I don't know. It's probably like a pheromone thing. Um, Environmental interactions. Use environmental interactions to break off rocks and drop them on monsters, and more to be revealed. We saw that in the first trailer, and you were able to do that in World 2. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. Reworked bomb mechanics. This is cool because they talked. A lot of the people that saw the presentation saw that new mechanics for repositioning and using large barrel bombs, ability to walk. Okay, we can talk about that too. So we apparently you're able to like roll around your large barrel bombs. So like if you place one down a bit too far away from the monster's face, you don't have to worry about like, oh well, now I can't do anything about that large barrel bomb. Apparently you can now just roll it to the face and that works just as fine. So that's pretty cool. Ability to walk atop dead monsters for carving. So in classic Monster Hunter fashion, you sort of, when the monster died, excuse me, sorry, when the monster died or was caught, you kind of just like walked through it. It's very jarring. Of course, you're just like, oh, what does this mean? But now they're adding pathing and physics to the monsters post hunt. So after they're dead, you just walk on top of them. Pretty cool stuff. Crafting and exploration. After carving rewards from defeated monsters, players can use materials to craft new gear and encouraged to continue exploring the open world. Wait, what? Players can use materials to craft new gear and then are encouraged to continue exploring the open world. This probably goes back to that like seamless thing that they were mentioning, like maybe at the camps. Maybe in the camps or something, or they'll probably like mention like, oh, you can probably like send the materials back to town or whatever, and Gemma will work on gear for you with the parts that you carved. I don't know. That's speculation. I don't know if that's true, but it's sort of that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from being encouraged to continue exploring the new world, so to speak, right? So companion and mounts. Cool. We have the Palico Companion. Guides players, warns about dangers, informs about distant items, and ensures important interactions are not missed. Additionally, it is confirmed you'll be able to toggle between speech and meows for the Palico. Cool. So that's pretty cool. I sort of already mentioned that I would just keep the speech, only because why not? It's new. I'm not like totally jarred by or like taken aback by just human speech from a Palico. At this point, it's Monster Hunter. Wild shit like that happen all the time, I think. So I'm just gonna keep them on. It's just good because I mean they've already done that in like say Vise, where like you know a Palico would be like, oh, like something is here, or like I'll carve this off of the monster. Maybe a Japanese voice will fit the Palico. I think so. The Japanese voice, I've heard it already. It sounds really cute. It does make me want to play in Japanese mode. I might, but like I'm starting to get to the point where it's like, you know what, I'll just play it in English voice acting. It doesn't sound terrible to me anymore. But we'll see. I might just stick to Japanese voice for like the mastery of voice acting. But yeah, we'll see going into it. Riding Sacred, used for movement with abilities like running, jumping, and gliding. Sweet. Players can sharpen weapons, use items, and collect while riding. Weapons are used for luring rather than damage, and riding can be manual or automatic. Players can swap to a secondary weapon while mounted. I want the voice actor for Nanaki from oh or Naniki or Nanami. Wow, okay, I was like, what is that? I didn't watch Jujutsu Kaisen, so I'm not sure which one Nanami is. Um, is Nanami the? No, I don't know. Oh, again, yeah, the his like deep ass voice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be hilarious for Palico. Hopefully, we'll get like Palico voices. Um, Weapons are used for luring rather than damage. So when you're on a monster, and we saw a bit of like mounted combat, and we saw a bit of just like you're able to swing your sword or fire your gun. It says that it's just used for luring rather than damage. So you're still gonna be hunting on foot as per usual, um, but luring rather than damage. So yeah, I'm not sure what that means just yet, but I don't know what it specifically means. Yeah, but all the sharpening, all the like the utility stuff, like using items, whatever, we've already seen it in Rise, and more or less in World, uh, with their mount system. But yeah, so cool that we're seeing it on the Sacred mount customization. It has been confirmed that players will be able to customize and upgrade their mounts, potentially including unique skins and other upgrades. I don't know where this was confirmed. Uh, Probably again by the producer and director during one of the interviews. Pretty cool though. Like I think it goes without saying that you were going to be able to do that anyway, but having it be confirmed just makes things a bit safer to talk about. We don't have to worry about it not being an issue or a mechanic. So there you go. Additional info: performance. The game runs smoothly with no noticeable frame drops, even during intense battles with multiple monsters and dynamic weather effects. The map transitions from colorful to darker during weather changes. Though some lower FPS was noted during these transitions. One experienced 2 crashes during their game or during their play session. So Max dude actually talked about how he saw the game crash twice, and he was like, actually, that's cool, because we know that it was an actual game build and not like just like uh, a slice of the game being shown. So the fact that it is sort of if it says it's running smoothly, if it's saying like run smoothly, like it's just 60k or 60k 60 fps, if that's what they mean by smoothly, or if it's just like a consistent 30 frames, we don't know. But it looks like it's the performance there isn't super hampered by like the crazy stuff that we'll be seeing. Nintendo Switch 2, interesting. There are leaks and speculations that the game will launch simultaneously on the next gen Nintendo console, quote, or in parentheses Switch 2, which is expected to be released in the second half of 2024. The new console is rumored to support visuals comparable to PS5 and Xbox Series XS with 4K 60 frame per second 60 frame per second gameplay, DLSS, and ray tracing. Take this with a grain of salt. Some comments allude to this such as being back on Nintendo despite already being back with Monster Hunter Rise. I'm no I'm gonna just like say that it's not gonna come to Switch. I don't know, like maybe, I mean, if there are people talking about it, cool, but I'm just gonna just say outright, I don't think so. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's cool. But yeah, sweet. Playable demo, hints and rumors of a playable demo in August 2024. We don't, I mean, hints as in like in Summer Games Fest, they did talk about the fact that there will be a playable demo at Gamescom in August 2024. I mean, that's why I gave like so many gift subs. So that's there. Uh, yeah, I if there yeah there has to be like some sort of playable demo. We'll probably fight like uh, I think what they'll do is like the the monsters that will be in the demo is like uh the Doshiguma for the easy mode, Rathalos maybe for like normal medium mode, and then the new monster, or at least like Thor Magala, whatever it may be. I think Thor Magala might be hard mode on the demo, and we'll get to see like all of the weapons and stuff like that. Director Yuya Tokuda's vision. Yuya Tokuda, director of Monster Hunter Wilds, has a long-standing vision of focusing on ecosystem elements of the game. This is what I talked about earlier. His goal is to leverage powerful hardware to create a convincing, living, and breathing world. He has been part of the series since Monster Hunter Freedom and has progressively taken on more significant roles, culminating in his directorship for World and now Wilds. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Um, yeah, that's super cool that we're seeing him on as a director. I talked about it a bit. That um, that quote where it was just like, yeah, if I'm the director of a Monster Hunter game, then it'll be focused on the ecosystem. So that's what it was talking about there. Development focus, Tokuda emphasizes the importance of depicting a realistic ecosystem where monsters are part of a coherent world, not just isolated bosses. This approach is in line with his vision for Monster Hunter Wilds, ensuring an immersive and dynamic gameplay experience. Sweet! Awesome. That's pretty cool stuff that we're seeing there. Yeah, approach influenced by world. Obviously, yeah, the success of Monster Hunter World influenced the development of Wilds, especially in keeping players continuously interested and making the game more accessible. So, to me, that's awesome. I know, a lot of people were saying that uh, Rise was like the more accessible of the two. Um, which is an odd argument. As I'm like sort of thinking about it now, I think with Worlds like simple, it is simpler in a way. Like too, it's not too like reliant on like the new dynamics of like a new like the wire bugs or um like the switch skills, stuff like that. Like it's not overly reliant on that stuff. You can just like pick up your weapon and just use that weapon. Uh, yeah, so I can see World being more accessible than Rise in a way. So it's good that they're going in that route. Non-returning content. Okay, cool. So they confirm that content such as Prowler mode and underwater battles will not be returning in Monster Hunter Wilds. Boo-hoo. So sorry. So sad. Both of those things I never really cared much about, but I do feel for the people that love those. Not me though. Impressions positive across the board, particular praise for the open world feeling, having villages and camps. There were some criticizing moments by a few interviewers, including an increase in difficulty and reduction in vibrance in the environments compared to other titles. Another criticism is that it was underwhelming and has lost the identity of the franchise with a more serious tone and less whimsy. I don't know. I feel like that is that's a sort of trash take in my opinion, a take on a take, if you will. Um, I feel like people that think that uh, the Monster Hunter has lost its identity, uh, I don't know. To me, those guys aren't like really fans. I'm gonna say that now. I don't think they're really fans. Uh, like they're fans of like the old school Monster Hunter, or they're new fans that have privilege or that that are entitled. So that's where I think they're coming from. And so for me, someone that has like been with Monster Hunter from the jump, well, not from the jump, but I've played they're stupid. It's subjective. Yeah, I know. Um, yeah, I think that, there's just come, yeah, Jomar, you and I came up from Monster Hunter fucking 1 on PlayStation 2. So like we've seen the game come up from like just being a monster hunting game in that there's no real story, there's no real like there's no real like immersiveness, right? Like yeah, you sort of saw it in a way where it's like, oh yeah, we can walk out and the Aptonoth are here just like hanging out. But there's like no there are no there's no real story, nothing, no, there's no plot moving your gameplay forward. The only thing that like kept the gameplay going was, you know, you're just like hunting monsters, and the stronger you get, the stronger monsters you fight, which that's that's not a story, that's just progression. um Obviously that's my opinion of it, but I think the fact that we're coming from like, oh, we don't have story, Monster Hunter 1 slash freedom, to like uh barely any, you know, with like Monster Hunter 2 in a way, you know. Monster Hunter 2 sort of was like oh yeah, like we're seeing, I think Monster Hunter 2, they sort of came up with like the whole like, oh, there's an imbalance in the ecosystem, I need to find out what it is. And then 3 came at it where it was like uh well, 3, it was more or less the same thing. The third generation was, ever since 2, Monster Hunter has always been like, oh, like there's something going on in the ecosystem, and like we need you to find out what it is. Like, oh, is it this monster? No, it's actually another monster, like an elder dragon that's actually like causing all the havoc. We don't talk about the water. I agree. Yeah, and then after 3, we had 4, which was sort of like 4 was like a shift, definitely like a shift in Monster Hunter, where we've like saw more like character driven storylines. Like, you know, we had the Ace Hunters, and they were sort of doing their thing, and we had like the Plague. Forget what it's called already. Sorry. In Monster Hunter 4, and it's just like, okay, well, like, what is this Plague? Like, okay, so what is the Gormagala? Like, what does it have to do with everything? Why is it affecting things? So the fact that we're asking like, why is it, and like having that be a plot, uh you know, moving the gameplay forward, that was a step in the right direction, I think. And then we sort of took a step back for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, where it was just like, you know, hey, you're a hunter, great, fight all of these cool monsters, and then when you're good, you can go and meet um, the head boss, and that's you know, he'll tell you that you're awesome himself. And then yeah, and World and Iceborne and Rise and Sunbreak, we're seeing like more and more like character focused stories, which are great. I think that's great for Monster Hunter as an identity, being more focused and being a bit more cinematic in how they present the world. Um, so I don't think like I don't think the serious tone is lost. Or at least I don't think the less whimsiness is lost. We're seeing like baby Puke out in the wilds, and we're seeing like some fun stuff in the details. Um, so yeah, I don't think the whimsiness is going to be lost. I think people are just either entitled. Well, it definitely just comes with like entitlement, or they're just too enamored by like the old traditions of Monster Hunter. So if they don't want change, that's fine.